telling people, like, I just like having a project, having something to work on.
That's it. I mean, unless we shouldn't need an excuse to hang out on a regular basis and just chill.
Still,
I'm very happy to have something.
Why not record our hangouts, right?
That's it. We got some cool podcasts. We got some words out of our mouths.
I like when words come out of my mouth, personally.
Yes, words out of mouth is a great place to be.
Someone thought up a name, but that'll come.
That's it. Hopefully before this episode that we started recording just now becomes a thing, there'll be a name for this podcast.
Yeah.
And we'll get the associated YouTube account and SoundCloud account and an iTunes feed because...
Why not?
They're easy enough to manage.
Go all the way. So what are we talking about? We're talking about podcasts in general.
That's it. I figured
and just general things.
That's it. Our pilot episode was very nice and about spoilers, and I definitely recommend looking it up. Hopefully whatever feed system we get this on will include that in the feed as a pilot episode with a title and everything.
Okay. Is this record, are we going to start this right now, or are we going to do an actual intro?
Oh, I thought we would just sort of use what we have now. We'll just kind of cut it at a natural point.
Okay, so at some point we're going to do an intro.
I'm just using what we have there and just letting it start naturally, just like a
so we're actually this is happening. This is the podcast right now.
Yeah, so you kind of listen to it. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, or podcasts as a medium.
Podcast as a medium. Because
I feel like they're still unheard of. I get a lot of people in my life where it's what is a podcast? My brother's classic joke is just the idea of, Andrew, just walking down the street, listening to a podcast. Because I do. They're really fun. And I listen to a bunch of different ones, and there's so many out there, and I encourage people to listen to them, and I get, not pushback, but just what's a podcast?
It's interesting that, because podcasts have sort of deviated from what podcasts originally were, because obviously the pod comes from iPod, right?
Which is something I didn't even realize till a few years ago.
And it's something that nowadays... How often are you listening to a podcast on an actual iPod, on an actual MP3 player that's main or sole purpose is to play MP3s, whereas sometimes there's live podcasts, sometimes you are, you're just listening to it on your computer, on your phone, on, various
Yeah, I think
medium.
my start with podcasts, we back with, if we're going to name drop a bit, Revision 3 had the Totally Rad Show.
Okay.
Michael Trachtenberg, and I can't remember. Oh my god, I feel bad if I ever hear this and I don't know their names. I'm going blank right now. Adam something. Fuck, I'm feeling really terrible right now. Not knowing all their names. Well, Trachtenberg I recognize because he just directed that 10 Cloverfield Lane movie, which I need to go see still.
Oh yeah, that's a movie. I heard that.
That's it.
I heard of that movie.
You heard of it. There you go, Michael Trachtenberg. Your life dream, Waxman, has heard of your movie. I'm
a film studies student, ladies and gentlemen. I know movies. I know that there are movies that come out. That there are movies that come out.
I'm aware of movies and the fact that they come out.
Yeah, things going to the theater, that's a big thing for me, of course.
It's true, I don't go to the movie theater as much as I used to anymore. That's another good episode we can get into the movie theater.
That's movie theater. That's another time where we're spoiling the future seasons of this show.
Is this a callback you're doing now?
Yeah.
You're calling out our callbacks?
As a film studies student, that's already the second time I'm putting this out there. I'm that guy now.
Are you fishing for something?
I'm that guy. Oh, Ryan, he's film studies. He's so interesting.
I studied film in college, too.
He's so cultured. But, no, the idea is that... the idea of podcasts, right, it's evolved so much because, like I said, it became this thing that now it's all about... And at least some of the podcasts, and we probably the biggest example for both of us in our lives right now is the Rooster Teeth podcast.
Oh man, that entire network! I listen to almost all the shows they have on there, except for the sports one. I can't do sports.
I like sports.
Yes, we discovered this last episode. You like sports. I know they exist.
I enjoy sports, but
I feel like you're overcompensating for your lack of sports.
I like sports because I'm a man, and men like sports. And I'm gonna lift weights and such. But essentially, what's great about podcasts is it sort of seems like it's a bit of it's not so much now. There are themed podcasts, right? Where it's this is a Game of Thrones podcast.
So if we go back to Rooster Teeth as a subject, they have their general interest, which is sort of just shoot the shit and share stories and what's going on.
Which are my favorite types of podcasts.
Which is, I think the more fun you get to know the people, so you kind of, I don't want to say feel like you have a relationship with them, but that's another topic I want to get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But they do have The Path, which is very just, they try to keep it gaming-centric. They do deviate, but it is very gaming-centric.
Yes.
I've started listening to some of their spin-off ones, like they've acquired other companies, such as Funhouse, who have their Dude Soup, which is generally also gaming, but just general interest as well. So it doesn't feel like you're too locked in.
So even when it's general interest, there is still sort of a focus. I mean, the people behind the podcast are still going to have their shared interests that they're going to tend towards.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's just people shooting the shit, and for me, I got into the listening to podcasts game pretty late. My first I knew podcasts existed. I acknowledged podcasts. You know, I even did podcasts, but really the first time I started listening to podcasts was probably when I was in Vancouver. Not this past summer, but let's say summer of 2014. Let's not just say it, because that's actually when it was.
Vancouver or Seattle? Seattle was more recent.
Vancouver, Seattle, and Portland were all the same trip.
Oh, that was one big
trip. And in fact, this is actually when the podcast came in, when my cousins and I were driving from Vancouver to Seattle. Great stories, by the way. I have a great border story if we get to that later on.
Share a story.
I'll share it right now. You know how at the border they ask you questions to let so that they know that you can go into America and such?
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So I crossed the border from Vancouver to Washington State with my cousins. All my cousins are from Vancouver. I'm obviously from Montreal. And so they asked a bunch of questions, the border guard did. And he asked, of course, the question comes up, where are you guys all from? And so my cousin who's driving says, the three of us are from Vancouver. And she points at me and he says, he's from Montreal. And the border guard leans in, looks at me right in the eye, and he says, are you a French Canadian? And I say, well, I mean, I speak French, but my mother tongue's English. And he just looks at me for a second. He goes, all right, you guys are free to go. That was it. That was the final question. But anyway.
I was just recently, I can't remember what I was posting on Reddit something, and someone asked, it was my new favorite addiction, that stupid Miitomo app from Nintendo.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know.
It was described really well in another podcast I follow, Cool Games Inc., where they basically described it as, it almost feels like it's market research for Nintendo, but played as a game. So they'll ask you questions, but it'll every few questions will be like, when you hear the word goth, what do you think about it? It almost feels like you're focus testing me, aren't you? It's a little weird. I'm waiting for the one where it's how much do you make on average in your household? Wait, what? But the one they just posed recently was, where are you from? And the way I answered it, I really like the way it came out because it was very unexpected, was Montreal, the English part of the French part of Canada.
Nice. I like that.
That's it.
I like thinking of myself like that, you know?
It's a little snooty. I feel like Montreal's got a repertoire for that. It's I don't want to say we're elitist, but we feel like if you're from middle of nowhere Canada and the prairies, you're a Canadian. You're maybe from that province, but I doubt anyone knows the name of the city you're from. But Montreal's got some pretty big guns. It's got we're the Just for Laughs festival,
Jazz Fest,
Oceaga. Apparently we're also really big in the sex scene for burlesque.
I can see that.
Apparently we are, I don't know if we're Canada or North America's largest burlesque festival.
Huh.
Yeah, no, did not know this.
I would believe that. I would believe that. But anyway, what we were saying is that I got introduced to podcasts really on that road trip, because it's about 3 hours from Vancouver to Seattle. Beautiful drive, by the way. If you ever have a chance to drive down the West Coast, do it. Beautiful drive. So it's about 3 hours from Vancouver to Seattle, 3 hours from Seattle to Portland, and then obviously 6 hours back from Portland to Vancouver. And I'm trying to sleep, because
it's a long ride.
It's a long drive, and I'm just you know what? We got up at 7 a.m.
Oof.
I'm not driving. Why would I stay awake? But,
that's a whole other conversation my wife will kill me for. Wife, fiance, girlfriend, whatever.
Fiance, you know what? Intended is the word we can use.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Gender fluid.
Yeah. Drew is getting married.
Oh, yes, I am.
She's getting married in October.
Ladies, I'm taken. I don't know who am I talking to?
I think that's impressive. It's sort of a want what you can't have thing, Anyway, The problem is I couldn't sleep because my cousins played a podcast. I don't remember what it was called.
I was about to ask, like, I wonder what this podcast was now. Like, what got you into this?
Oh, you know what? I remember what it was called.
Oh, what was it?
It was My Brother, and Me.
Oh my god, one of my favorites, actually.
Okay, so you know it.
Oh, dude.
And I presume it's three brothers. I don't actually know.
I mean, if anyone has listened to it, it's the McElroy brothers. They are three brothers. They all live in different cities in the U.S., and they all Skype in for their podcast.
Yeah, it was...
And they answer questions off Yahoo Answers.
Yes.
It sounds weird. It's even weirder than you think it is. Give it a listen. It's really worth it.
It is, because I was trying to sleep, and every time I tried to go to sleep, every time I thought I was fading off into dreamland, they would say something really funny, and I would just start laughing. I'm like,
incredible.
Man, I can't sleep because I'm laughing so hard. And that's when I really got into podcasts, just three dudes just talking about whatever's on their mind. I like talking. I like the sound. Well, I don't like the sound of my own voice, but I like talking about things.
That's it. Good conversation's good, and if a good conversation can be shared, why not? And they are a great example of it.
And I just love hearing people's stories. Like, for me, I can't speak for you personally, but for me, hearing people's life stories and even just funny stories about like human beings doing things, that's really great to me. That's what I enjoy.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like today will be a great podcast of suggesting other podcasts, which is what a new startup should be doing, is getting you to listen to better stuff.
We're networking.
I like this. We can now tag all of them in this post to get them to respond to us.
Please notice us.
We're good.
We're shaking your hands virtually.
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yeah. We're doing that too.
Got it.
We're doing that too.
But yeah, no, the McElroy brothers, My Brother, and Me is a fantastic one. The one I just dropped earlier, Cool Games Inc., is featuring the youngest brother, Griffin.
Okay, I didn't read into it that much.
That's it. That's it. So of the three of them, one of them, the youngest brother, Griffin, does another They all do several podcasts on their network. They all have like their wives and girlfriends do podcasts with them.
Oh, that's cool.
No, if you go to their website, they have a ton of listed ones. I can't remember. I think it's McElroyBrothers.com. But I was going to say, that's one of my favorite things with podcasts, though, is I love hearing stories. And another one I got introduced to, I think, is one that probably got me really hooked into a lot of others, is Risk is a very popular one. They travel around and they do shows a lot in the U.S. They've done a few Canadian shows. They're in Vancouver in a few weeks.
I love Vancouver. That's a cool city.
I want to go still. Fiance's on her way there with her mother and her sister for a trip.
Definitely get out there if you can. It's absolutely...
Which actually reminds me of another point I want to bring up later about Seattle. But no, and I mean, I love that kind of show, because Risk is one where it literally is they invite people to either Skype in or show up at the live shows and share, in their motto, stories you never thought you'd dare to share. And I mean, these are everything from like the one last week of a woman who was telling about the time that a guy broke into her home to murder them, turned into a robbery, then offered them drugs, got high with them, and then still robbed them at gunpoint while being high and friendly with them and hitting on her. Like a really weird... And then how they got away, and how they caught him, and how she got PTSD from all this, and how it ran in her family, and how... It was just an incredibly, heavy story to take in. And then you get the ones that are the guy who gets incredibly high on acid and forgets he's DJing a concert that night, and the walls are melting as he's trying to play a Halloween show and flipping his shit.
Did the walls actually melt?
I think it was just the acid.
Okay.
The drug, not the walls were covered in acid and were melting. That's a very different...
I understand why it's called acid now.
Oh,
Things melt.
I never thought of that,
Things melt.
Don't do drugs, or at least not the hard shit.
Do it in a safe space with people that you trust.
That was the
But don't ever do meth.
Mm.
Not even once.
That's messed up. Unless you're the mayor of Toronto, don't do meth.
Well, the deceased mayor of Toronto.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Rob Ford. When I was in Toronto in November, there was a stop sign,
Mm-hmm. I know of stop signs.
Okay.
They're red with the word stop written on them.
I realized how stupid that sounded.
Here in Montreal, they say arrête. We are French. But I imagine Toronto would say stop in English.
It does say stop, and someone had put a Rob Ford sticker on the bottom, so it said stop Rob Ford. I have a picture of it on my phone.
I like that. I feel like you're about to go grab it. I'm like, they can't see you, right?
Yeah, hey everyone, check out this picture on my phone of Stop Rob Ford.
Okay, in the world, back to our topic of podcasts, one of my biggest pet peeves right now are, and it's some do it really well, some don't. So Rooster Teeth is a great example of a group that does their podcasts live. Yeah. They record it live, and if you pay as a subscriber to the website, you can watch it live, which I do, but I still listen to them because I'd rather that format.
Yeah,
I like listen on the go. I'm not often sitting in front of my computer going, I have an hour and a half to kill and listen to a podcast. But again, I know YouTube is becoming more popular for podcasters to either, even if it's just putting up the podcast with a still image, it's still a popular media for it.
Yeah.
It's easy to to absorb with the other media. But they're really good at doing a video podcast and not excluding the audio listener. Whereas some shows I listen to, and I can't think of specific examples, but they'll actively do things that are very video-centric, but they might go like, oh, the game I'm playing right now is really fun, and not name the game because they assume you can see it on the screen because they're playing it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those moments where it's like, really? Like, just please remember, this is like, and they'll even like later on do a joke about how they, our audio listeners have no idea what we're talking about. And it's like, then tell me what was the game you were playing? I want to know what it was now.
That also brings up the whole thing is that nowadays with podcasts, it doesn't necessarily just have to be two dudes sitting on a couch drinking beers talking into a computer.
Weirdly specific description you just gave.
Yeah, that's totally not us. That's just a generic.
Well, it's beer this time. It was cider last time, actually, wasn't it?
It was Mad Jack last time.
It's still an apple cider, isn't it?
No, it's apple beer.
Is it really?
It's apple lager. I don't know if it's lager or ale, but it's apple beer.
Well, Mad Jack's recommendation.
Mad Jack is great. Everyone should subscribe to Mad Jack.
Has to their drinking podcast?
To their weekly newsletter.
I feel
But we're drinking Alexander Keith's Red right now.
We're not sponsored, by the way. If you want to sponsor us, you can, but we're drinking,
Please give us money. I will do anything. Not anything, but I'll do a lot of things.
Yeah, so would I, honestly. What am I saying?
I have little morals. No, that's not true. But what was I saying? What were we talking about? Yes, podcasts
are not always just
dudes talking or women, of course.
True.
People talking.
Hashtag gender fluid.
Yeah, of course. Hashtag we're always accepting.
It's a long hashtag. Please adopt that one.
And I don't think the contraction works on the Twitter hashtag format. But anyway,
it's weird.
Nowadays, people sometimes just live stream themselves playing, like, let's say, Cards Against Humanity. Is that still a podcast, or is that just a live stream? Where does the line get drawn in the sand?
I'm pretty cool with not drawing a line. I feel like it should be an open medium. Example, I'm hoping to branch off this podcast and get us playing Borderlands together and recording ourselves while we play that.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Because you playing video games is probably the most fun I've had in a while, listening to you on the Division. That was fucking brilliant.
I get really into the video games, right?
That's it. Oh, you can ask. I feel like it's a really bizarre thing I do when I play video games and I'm just going to name drop finally. Paula, my fiance, is in the room with me. I tend to be more verbal just because I feel like she might peek at the screen and be like, the fuck's happening? To at least be like, oh, I can't believe I died there. Like, I'll talk out loud to myself. Not to her, to myself. Because she's present. Just in case she's curious to know what the fuck is happening.
Paula is his fiance, by the way. His intended.
Your intended. Whoa.
His betrothed.
my, as the kids would say, bae. I still haven't gotten used to that. That's the one of those.
You know what?
Again, Mitomo questions. Words you haven't gotten used to. Bae just feels weird. It feels like it's too internet-y for me.
You know, I'm going to tell you a story about Bae, and I want you to listen up to this story because
I feel like I'm about to get really deeply schooled here. This is like a.
I feel like Bae started with a typo, where it's supposed to say babe, but someone forgot the second B, and thus Bae.
I could see that. I could really, really see that in this day and age.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be surprised if we look back in the etymology. And that's what it turns out to be.
I think at this point, you probably have to just look in the Urban Dictionary and find what.
Well, no, there's a few good websites like Know Your Meme or reddit.com/r out of the loop, which has a lot of the explaining shit in a very serious way.
R out of the loop is R out of the loop. If you're not subscribed to it, it's a very key subreddit.
It's funny. I don't subscribe to it, but I'll often dig into it when I need to.
I subscribe to it.
I have it as a bookmark, but not as subscribed.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's one on my front page. It's not one I need to see, but it's one that I like to have easy access to.
Can we talk about something?
You can talk about anything. That's the advantage of having a podcast where we don't really have a set
I was recently informed that Blink-182's new album is coming out, and I wanted to mention.
I didn't know they were still around.
They are, but Tom DeLonge is not in the band anymore, and Matt Skiba of Alkaline Trio is singing for them right now. Their new album's coming out, right? Just blowing hair off my phone. Probably my own hair.
I would assume, but I also hope so.
Their track listing came out for the new album, and I just want to read to you the final song on their album because it's definitely the most intriguing of the names.
I'm intrigued.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
This is an audible gasp of terror.
I think it's fantastic. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to hear Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, there's two ways you can go with this. There's the Weird Al route where it is a really funny cover.
I don't think it's going to be that.
Or
I'm imagining right now, it's tough to say because I'm imagining Tom DeLonge singing Bohemian Rhapsody, but obviously it's not Tom DeLonge. I feel like, you know Pennywise's song Bro Him? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I have to hear it again.
Every NHL team plays it as their goal song.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, sports, right.
No, but I do know what you're referring to, though.
Okay, good.
Weirdly, that was the trigger I needed.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you think it'll be like an actual song, but
I think it's going to be an actual song, but you know what the thing is? The possibilities of what that song could be are so endless that it could be a play on Bohemian Rhapsody, it could be something completely different, it could be their own long, epic rock opera, ballad-esque throwback to... I'm just using a lot of big music words at this point.
No, but it could definitely be good. This is some 41 we said, right?
Blink-182. But, you know,
wow.
You know, at this point, when you're an angsty teenager, all the punk bands sound the same.
It's true.
The new Good Charlotte album is coming out, and...
I know they were still around. Yeah, I'm not a music guy. I'm the kind of guy who my music... now we're changing shifts from podcast and music, but I'm still okay with that. It's still media. Whatever.
Pop culture.
Pop culture. It's the whole theme of this fucking thing.
I'm a pop culture student. Yeah.
That's it. I like that. I'm a student of pop culture.
Yeah. That was meant to sound a lot more like Shangri-La-ish than I meant it to, but no, I actually study pop culture.
And that's it. Whereas I just enjoy pop culture and learn from it.
I feel like everyone does to some extent, but yeah, to continue your thought.
Yeah. I was just going to say I feel it's one of those things you'll learn as you listen to us is as much as I'm not the sports guy, I'm also I love music, but I don't really follow it well.
That's fair.
My introduction to music, I remember being the kid in elementary who won a pair of, a Sony Walkman with headphones.
Sick.
Which at the time was, the shit everyone wanted.
That was to be aspired to.
That was it. That was the Christmas gift and I won a pair, and I'm I didn't use it for almost, 3 years. Because I didn't listen to music, and it wasn't until,
had to get that new NSYNC album on, before you could use it.
But that's it. It wasn't until the end of elementary school when it was that last year where I enjoyed the occasional song. If a song came on the radio, Spice Girls or Backstreet Boys, I'd sing along. But I didn't have their CDs. I didn't go out and buy music. It was just here's a song in the car or a song I'm going to play in my place in the CD player or tape deck in the rare case. And that was really it. And it wasn't until I think it was the beginning of high school when a buddy started showing me. I believe what is the term they use? Anyways, back when Kazaa was the thing, he would download music videos to Linkin Park songs or Eminem songs.
Torrenting.
Even before torrenting, this was... I guess torrenting was the form it used.
P2P?
It was peer-to-peer sharing of that, but we didn't know the terms. We were all punk kids, and it was Kazaa.
Back then, it wasn't really a thing. It was just
Morpheus,
hey...
ShareBear.
Yeah, back then it was just hey, Napster. Back then it was
just... I never heard of the Napster, though.
My buddy showed me Napster, back... Well, must have been in grade school for me also, elementary. Mm-hmm. And it's Napster's the coolest thing. Back when you had the mouse, where it was you had the buttons on one side, you had this ball that you had to spin.
Did you have one of those?
My buddy did. I had a regular person mouse.
One of my buddy of mine now, he's a doctor, a little older than me, but he has one. I always thought it was the weirdest thing. And looking back now, I can see how much fun it was to use.
I can't get used to it, but the thing is,
I'm Team Trackpad.
Napster was the thing back in the day, and it was whoa, we didn't even have a term for it. It was just wow. We can get this music for free.
That's it. I think even at the end of grade 6 when I became that cool kid who knew how to use the CD burner and download music illegally and I would make CDs for friends as an attempt to make myself the cool kid. That was literally the end of my elementary school career. But even then, like, my intro to music was, at the beginning of grade 6, being shown Dragon Ball Z music videos to Linkin Park's One Step Closer to the Edge. I can vividly remember my buddy Evan.
That more or less encompasses the, like, for guys our age, that more or less encompasses the elementary high school experience right there.
And that's it. Like, and even today, I'm not a huge music guy. I have the bands I like, but I mean, the number of bands I follow where you can tell me a new album's out, I had no idea. The other day, we were sitting in work, and I was like, you know what, I have the speaker to myself, it's a quiet day, put on some Muse. I pulled up Muse and Apple Music, I'm like, they have 2 albums I did not know existed.
Second Law and Drones, I'm gonna guess?
I think Drones I had just heard a few songs from, so I went to put that, I went to go back and put an older album on, so I saw Drones I knew. But Second Law, totally, I just...
Second Law, people didn't like it. I liked it.
Yeah. I still go back to Asymmetry, that was my favorite one.
That's fair.
But that's it, like, this is one of the few bands I know really well, Nine Inch Nails is another one. But I mean, like, I love Blink-182, they have a ton of songs I like. I can't name half those songs off the top of my head.
Fair.
Nor can I name any of the albums that any of those songs are off of. I just know I have a few, I'm going to admit a lot of songs in my library came from Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
No, that's understandable at this point.
Like I think I found a torrent of all their... No, but you should pay for your music, really, guys. I mean, you know what? Sample stuff, whatever. I'm not going to be a judge. I try to pay for it as much as I can now.
But low key, use Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify,
Or
Apple Music. I fucking love.
Don't use Tidal. Fuck Tidal. Like, don't use
seriously.
Tidal.
After the last 2 articles, there was an amazing picture of Kanye. I think it was the one they took of him in the airport where he was like really happy, and then like he suddenly saw the camera, looked like angry. But it was that, like, I'm sure you know the photo from Describe. If you know him at all, you know the photo. I don't even know fucking Kanye. But it was that photo, and it was just like people outraged at Tidal because they had an exclusive deal with his newest album, and then a week later it was on Apple Music.
Yeah, after he said he would never put it up on anything except Tidal. I think he misses the old Kanye. I say it to everyone, and I always get a little bit of hate for it. I can't stand Kanye. I really like, I'm not a big rap hip hop guy, but today I listened to Danny Brown for the first time. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. One of our coworkers showed him to us, and he's a really talented rapper with some really, really good like music.
That's really good.
And Kendrick Lamar, I know you're a fan of.
Kendrick Lamar, I feel like even if you're not into hip hop, you have to appreciate what Kendrick Lamar is doing. There's him, and there's everybody else. Like
That's it. I am not a hip hop or a rap guy, and I think he's really talented.
Kendrick Lamar is Michael Phelps. He is the guy who dominates
music.
He is the Michael Phelps of hip hop music.
Okay,
Essentially,
I didn't know he was a good swimmer.
Good to know. Yeah, well. We can.
He might be.
I mean, there's stereotypes, right? There's stereotypes about,
Are black guys good at swimming? Is that a thing?
No, it's the opposite. Is the stereotype is that black guys are not good at swimming.
I did not know that one.
Okay, yeah. There's that. That's probably not.
The more you know.
That's probably a little racist, and that's probably more than a little racist. It's probably very.
No,
racist.
we're just discussing stereotypes, not
but
just
essentially,
we're not discussing whether they're true or not. We're discussing that they are in the public.
That is a stereotype that exists. Is that black people cannot swim or do not swim well. But essentially,
I feel like we're digressing way too much of this. But what I'm trying to say though is, I appreciate them as musicians, despite it not being the genre I listen to.
Yes.
But every time SNL has Kanye on, or I listen to one of his songs, I just don't get it. I just feel like he's yelling or talking about nonsense with way too much auto-tune.
His new album came out very recently.
Yeah, the Pablo or something?
The Life of Pablo.
That was it, okay.
I still don't know who Pablo is. I don't know why we're celebrating him, but I did enjoy, let's say, a good 55 to 60% of the songs on the album. But that said, I can totally see why people don't like him, because the other 40% of the songs were self-indulgent, like overly introspective bullshit songs, and it was just like one song was just someone else leaving a message on his answering machine.
And that's it. Like, I feel like he's trying to be more edgy than he really is.
He's not edgy. He thinks
but
he's
at the same time, whoever produces his music, literally, if you can give me the original track listing of all of his albums without the vocals, I would listen to that, because that is some amazing tracks. And whether it's him who does it, or he has a music producer who puts that together for him, or it's a friend or part of a crew, or whatever the behind the scenes is, I would love to listen to that, because minus his vocals, some of his music is fantastic. On the actual music.
And he's also a very good producer.
And that's it. Like, I feel like he has a lot of talents. Maybe singing isn't one of them. Maybe you're a fan of his. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I mean, clearly you enjoy it for a reason. I fucking listen to one of my favorite bands is Ninja Sex Party. They are absolutely one of the greatest music groups out there, and I think
Ninja Sex Party.
Do you know them?
No. I just, the name caught my attention.
That's it. They're a bit of a comedy duo. I mean, I put them up there with just like bands who make stupid songs with stupid videos for the sheer fun of it. But I'm just gonna. What was that gesture you were making? Do you need to pee?
Yeah.
Why don't we take a quick hiatus? This would be the spot I would read a promo if we had one.
This podcast is brought to you by Mumford & Sons' new album.
They have a new album out? I love them. I had no
we have
idea.
a third banjo now.
We'll take a pause here for 2 seconds. Everyone go get another beer and another pee. We'll be back in a few minutes. And we are back from what may have been an ad read or just an awkward 30-second pause while Waxman here got locked in my bathroom.
I will not confirm or deny any bathroom mishaps.
My apartment is quite famous for being locked in the bathroom. The fiance did it twice in a matter of 2 days. Luckily, the first time I was there to open it for her by shimming it open with a credit card. The second time, a friend of ours had to go to our neighbor's apartment, ask them to let them onto the balcony to get over to our balcony to then get in and come break her out.
I think it's more that your fiance has issues with bathrooms, because we know this is not her only bathroom mishaps.
No, it's happened in her parents' house as well.
Yeah.
I think she's just really unlucky with doors in general, and it's been a running gag. I love how I'm turning her into a coworker and tell the story, and someone else goes, "She got locked in the bathroom again?" Like, the staff my coworkers just know it happens. And she'll kill me for telling that story. Nah, she won't. It'll be fun that way.
She won't.
So, before you went to go pee so drastically, we were talking about music, Kanye...
Yeah.
Mumford & Sons? No.
No, we were not talking about Mumford & Sons.
We were never talking about them ever at all. Nope, no way.
But what I will say about Mumford & Sons is they're actually, I had a music class this semester for school, and they were one of the bands that were referenced at the very end of the semester, because we sort of went forward in history, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mumford & Sons was an example of a retro music act, because they sort of, their style lends back to older genres of music.
they're a band I really enjoyed when they first started. They came a little mainstream, which is not a really reason to hate them, but I found the new album wasn't as good as the first album.
No.
But I generally still enjoy them, and it's because they have a more folky sound, which I do enjoy.
Can we say something about mainstream and things like that?
We can. What are we saying?
I find that people who hate on bands just because they happen to go mainstream, or they find a song that's a commercial success and they're like, oh, well, they're mainstream now, I don't like them, where's the reality and the authenticity? I think that's a very silly reason to stop supporting a band, or to not support a band to begin with.
Oh, 100%. If I may rephrase my previous statement about the Mumford & Sons second album.
Oh, no, I wasn't...
No, but you're right. I said it because the sound became more mainstream. They went more to a pop radio sound to accommodate the fact that they are now a little more mainstream and they have a wider audience to reach, versus the first album, which I feel has more of a country feel to it and a folky feel. If I may say, probably my favorite band right now, the one that I will do anything to listen to, my go-to band, is the Decemberists. They are my absolute number one band, my most played music on my iPod. And they are folk stories told in song. Very fun, very lively. Lots of banjos and accordions and weird instruments and like upright bass and violins and fiddles. And they really have a folky feel to them. And I find that they never really got a poppy sound like some of the other folky bands that have come recently have turned into. And I mean, like, I'll go back to, like, I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. I love her stuff. But you listen to her stuff from 6 years ago when she was a country girl. Now she's very pop. But I feel it suits her well.
Yeah.
And I don't feel it's taken... I mean, it's a change, but I still love her music.
It's become such a common thing now, especially just browsing the internet, browsing music communities, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's on Facebook, and there's the whole common thing is that their older stuff was better because they didn't sell out. And I'm like, listen, I think the idea of selling out is not what you think it is. They're selling out in the sense that you are actively making music that is commercially accessible for the sake of making money, and then there's also adjusting your sound to fit the times a little more, or even just experimenting with new sounds. Like U2 is probably one of the greatest examples of a band that continuously adjusts its style.
So I don't listen to U2 very much. I know a few songs here and there I love, and a few that I can live without, and the one we all have because we all have iPhones.
Yes. Yeah.
But give me more example. Give me a little more detail on this one.
Okay. I don't have exact examples.
No, but just like, but... so I mean, like, to me they haven't changed much over time, but I only know like 3 songs.
They haven't, I don't think it's so much that they have changed over time, which I guess goes against what I was just saying, but it's their place in the music spectrum that's changed, because they've gone from alternative rock to sort of a more mainstream to more classic rock, and I think they do slightly adjust their sound to fit the crowd that is now listening to their music, and I don't think that's selling out. I think that's just
adapting.
No,
and I agree, and that's, again, going back to the Taylor Swift example. She found what worked. She followed her fans. I mean, if we do this podcast and 10 years down the line, we're not going to keep talking about the stuff we talk about today, because we'll be 10 years older. Our fans will be an older audience by 10 years. There'll be new subjects to cover. We're not going to talk about young hit music. We might be more into
tax breaks.
Yes.
I just thought
taxes, which I need to do. Tomorrow is tax filing day, which is a gross thought.
You know, tax breaks and like lawn mowing and
rolling
prostate exams and such like that.
That's funny. My last podcast got on that subject really in depth.
Well,
not intended.
We're not there yet.
No, God,
we're young men still.
I feel like people fear the whole idea of that. I mean, like, as weird as I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not afraid of it per se.
No, it's something, prostate health is important, but you think I can get out of it by just saying, like, hey, I'm young at heart?
I don't think
probably
that will work.
They'll still, put the glove on.
Put the finger in your butt?
Put the finger in my butt. Yeah.
It's going to be so funny. I realized before we paused, I was on a subject before. I was talking about that band Ninja Sex Party.
Ninja Sex Party.
You started gesturing your dicks at the go pee.
I was not gesturing. I mean, I was.
It was 2 fingers rapidly pointing at your penis, which is something I think is kind of funny because half their Twitter feed, Ninja Sex Party, is penis jokes and butt sex jokes.
Oh, because I should follow this band.
Well, you would enjoy them. I'm definitely going to say if this will put a bit on, but they're very, like, they're funny, and the theme is very much... I mean, like, the stage names are Ninja Brian and Danny Sexbang.
Oh, I understand the name now. Ninja Sex Party.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
They jokingly have a rival band called, I think it's Samurai Abstinence Group. Abstinence Group, sorry.
Abstinence Group.
The opposite of...
I'm getting a sort of a vibe here, like Templar versus Assassins from Assassin's Creed,
That's it. I mean, he runs a... Funny, he's not on a podcast, but I would consider it one the way I listen to it.
In case you haven't guessed, we're nerds.
Oh, we're huge
We're
geeks.
Nerds, yeah.
The next sentence I'd say is, Dan is actually popularized on the internet from the web series Game Grumps.
Game Grumps, games, nerds, games. We like games.
Wow, the beer is kicking in on you hardcore, man.
No, I'm fine.
So back to our podcast just a little bit. Game Grumps is a show where essentially something like I'd like to start doing with you, where they play a game together, or one of them plays a game, if not together. Like right now they're doing Dark Souls 3, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and a few other games. And they'll do like some one-offs here and there of like games someone sent them. And they'll just talk over it as they play and do like 30-minute bits or 50-minute bits.
Right.
Which is like with Borderlands that I ideally start doing with you or other games.
That'd be cool.
But to me, like, as much as that would not be sold as a podcast, I tend to put that on and let it run while I'm playing video games like Destiny or just chilling on the computer.
Oh, that makes sense.
Even if I'm not necessarily watching the game, I can appreciate just their banter. Because they do have a great chemistry. But also, just to go back to that Ninja Sex Party for again, because I'm tangenting around like a fucking... What's the thing that tangents a lot?
Tangerines.
I knew you were going to say that! Sorry. I just knew that was coming.
Both the bank and the fruit.
Oh, they are a bank, aren't they? Huh.
And the... No, I got nothing else.
No, there are two things. That's enough. I think that's enough for tangerines.
You ever had clementines?
Not a big fan of citrus fruits. I can't do oranges, lemons, and limes in my drinks. But
I like citrus. I
like them.
I don't like bananas.
I hate bananas.
Texture, right?
Texture. Also, when I was a kid, it was my medicine. A lot of people don't like grape because it was like great medicine as a kid.
What?
Or
cherry.
I always hear people tell me they don't like cherries or grapes because that was the medicine they had as a kid.
Grape,
it's a bad taste.
I never had grape medicine. Definitely cherry.
No, that was Paula's. I know a few people give me that one before.
Banana was definitely my fruit. That's just like I will put it in a smoothie because the taste of banana is not so bad. It's the texture of like eating a mushy like banana.
No, even in a smoothie, couldn't do it. Strawberry, mango, pineapple. Oh, I love pineapples.
Pineapple is the king of the fruit.
Oh, hell yeah. You ever grill that and put it on a burger?
No. I should, though.
Oh, dude, that's the best. Okay, wow, tangents. Fuck, we're terrible drunks. We're drinking. It happens. We're fourth beers.
I'm fine.
Ninja Sex Party also just released an album that I think was fantastic. That was not a comedy album. It was a cover album called Under the Covers. They're funny.
Ladies.
Where they covered a bunch of classic rock songs from Rush to Pink Floyd. I can't think of the artist behind it, but Everyone Wants to Rule the World. Take on Me. Very, very good. And I know they're working on another serious album as well. And I think it's a really nice twist for them. But I feel like that's just adapting to their audience versus selling out or changing because they're still releasing a bunch of fun albums. I know they just finished recording a music video for, I think it was called Eating Food in the Shower.
Is that a song?
I think that's the song in the album.
Eating food in the shower. Okay. Well, I'm just going to assume that's cool.
Well, I know there was a whole thing where they had to cover up the giant Legend of Zelda tattoo on the stomach of the chick who's in the shower with them.
Okay.
Because they started filming it and she got the tattoo partway through filming and they had to cover it up with makeup. But of course you're in a shower, so you're getting wet and sweaty. So.
Why would she get a tattoo midway through?
Because I don't think they needed it for the whole shoot and that they ended up doing reshoots.
Okay.
I don't know. They talked about it on their show, which to me is like a podcast, even though it is not labeled as such. So to weirdly go full circle here, I guess one of my points is a podcast doesn't need to be marketed as one. Any form of media today where it's really just, I think it's the Let's Play community, it's podcasting, it's the Twitch streaming. A lot of those are sold not so much on the content, but the people and how they make commentary on it. Whether it be just commentary like we're doing now, no media, or when we eventually do Borderlands Let's Plays, hopefully, and other games maybe.
Video games.
I'm even thinking of doing a solo project and just when I have time off from my days off, just playing some of my Steam library and recording that.
Oh, you're already branching out from me, bro?
Just trying some other things. Again.
See how it is. Creative differences already. We're on podcast episode number 2 and we already got creative differences.
There's no difference. I'm just saying I have a library of Steam games from those fucking humble bundles.
Justin Timberlake over here.
Hey, whoa. I wish I could be Justin Timberlake. Fuck, that dude's awesome.
Dirty Pop. Anyway,
could you imagine a podcast with JT and Jimmy Fallon?
JT... Who's JT? Oh, yeah.
Justin Timberlake?
Oh, yeah, those guys are...
Let's rewind 4 seconds ago to what I was saying. Justin Timberlake or JT? No, I mean, every time you see them on the Jimmy Fallon show or any of the Jimmy Fallon's talk shows, they are just like two best friends, and they are so much fun. I would love to hear them do a podcast.
I mean, nowadays, there's such a market for people just telling stories about themselves. to the point where, like you were saying, Let's Plays, and for those who don't know what Let's Plays are, it's literally just someone playing a video game or a couple people playing a video game and then just talking whilst they're playing. Sometimes you can play that in the background. You can be doing other things. You don't even have to watch the video game.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's it. Game Grumps. I'll listen to their stuff rather than watch it sometimes because I'm playing a game or just online shopping or doing some design work or editing this podcast, which I'm not doing anymore. Sorry.
It also becomes a source of news because sometimes you will find things like people will say, "Hey, did you know this happened? And did you know that happened?" I'm like, "No, really, because I don't really read CBC because CBC presents it." No, like I don't want to.
News is biased and can be a bit funny to follow. I'm not a big news follower, but I get a lot of my news through just social conversation, and podcasts has become part of my social conversation.
Not only just biased, but I don't want to be anti-intellectual here because I'm not, but it's sometimes just presented in a very dry, mundane way. Whereas if like someone who I enjoy, listening to as a podcaster there is like, hey, Facebook just found a way to watch you sleep, I would probably go read that.
Is that a real thing?
No, I thought that up on the top of my head, but
would that really bother me?
I mean, do you want Mark Zuckerberg in your bedroom?
Like physically standing there judging my sleep? No. Do I care?
Is he gonna poke you?
Dude, wow, is poking still a thing? It is actually.
You can still poke people.
Yeah, I got poked recently by someone, actually, a friend from Destiny Online.
That's so weird. But essentially, that if someone who I enjoy, I guess, presents it in a context that is interesting, it's better than reading it on CBC like Facebook CEO Zuckerberg announces new surveillance method that enables Facebook to infiltrate lives of its users.
It sounds boring, and I mean, the other thing too with podcasts is you really find the people you enjoy and the subjects you enjoy. So, an example I'll give is I don't follow per se. I follow their Twitter accounts, less their podcasts, but I have listened to a few when there are topics I'm interested in. The group imore.com. They do a lot of the Apple blogs, and they partner with a lot of the big guys like 9 to 5 Mac members. Actually, they're one of the big guys for sure, I'm not saying. But their chief editor, Renee Ritchie, and a lot of the other people that work with him do a podcast every week on just the news in the tech world, and they're people I enjoy listening to, so when they do have a topic of interest, like, oh, hey, Apple's rumored to do this, I'm going to give that episode a listen to, even though I don't subscribe to the full podcast. But I know people who their only podcast intake, Jeff and Bob.
Oh, Jeff, of course.
We were just chatting today as I was walking out. I told him I'm going tonight to record a podcast with you, and he was like, oh, well, what kind of podcast? And I explained what we do, and he's like, well, I told him I'd send him a link to all this.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff, if you're listening.
We miss you.
I'll be asking if you heard this.
Yeah, we're going to check up on you, buddy.
Yeah, like last episode when Vinesh got back to us.
That was great.
That was
for those of you who are big fans of ours at this point.
Oh, yes, who've listened to the pilot episode.
We called out Vinesh, our coworker and friend, and he listened to the podcast, and he texted us, and he's like, Vinesh was listening, and he corrected us.
Yeah, your grammar mistake, whoa. Yeah. I'll make 1,000 more, don't worry.
I'm an English major, though.
I'm a college
my major has changed 3 times already this podcast, but it's all true.
I did two majors in Cégep, or our Quebec version of college if you're out of town or listening to us weirdly.
Hello from the outside world.
You almost went the Adele route there, didn't you?
No.
You were going to do the Adele route, and
I'm fine with it.
No.
Oh, I don't like her new song.
Funny story about Adele, though. My cousins who live in Vancouver, one of them works in the music industry, and she knows Adele.
Interesting.
She had lunch with Adele.
I feel like she'd be a nice person.
From what I understand, she is a very nice person.
I like hearing that. I think that's my biggest fear. You always hear like, don't meet your heroes.
Don't meet your heroes.
That's the expression that is
Let
used.
your heroes remain mythical creatures.
That's it. Like, I've only met a few of my celebrity heroes, and they've all been pretty good so far. And I fear the day I will be a bad one. I met Adam West at a Comic-Con here in Montreal. I have
As we
signed,
see, yeah.
my signed picture.
We're both pointing to a picture in the podcast room right now that is autographed to Drew from Adam West.
Yeah, it's a photo of him in the old Batman costume signed. And I asked him a question during the Q&A the day before. I was in a bathrobe because I was dressed as Arthur Dent.
Nice.
And the next day, went to the signing. He recognized me as the dude from the bathrobe. I wasn't wearing it the second day, but he recognized me as the dude from the bathrobe. Which is cool. And just, like, genuinely a nice guy. And I know in those situations you're meeting 1,000 fans. I met Stanley for a signing, and it was only 30 seconds and a handshake, but still, he never gave off the air of, like, I'm tired of this. He was genuinely, like, shake a hand, a smile, and, like, a signature, and a thumbs up, and have a great day.
That's
and,
cool.
Like, even though I know there was 1,000 behind me, we've been waiting there for an hour to meet him. Mm-hmm. He's done this, like, 80 times today, probably 80 times this year. It still felt good. I got to meet, actually one of my best experiences was, oh my god, I'm going to blank on the name and I'm going to hate myself for this. But Jane from Firefly. You never watched Firefly, did you?
Nope.
Too nerdy, but it's a good show. 12 episodes, give it a watch, trust me.
Okay.
If you're any kind of sci-fi, it's the best one.
Sci-fi.
Old West sci-fi. It's Old West
sci-fi.
Adam Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's the famous one. Adam Baldwin's the slightly less famous one, unfortunately.
The other Baldwin.
The other Baldwin. One of the other Baldwin brothers. But he plays Jane on Firefly, and he was wrapping up his booth. He was done his signing. I missed it, and I ran over to see him with another chick who had also wanted to go. He just bumped to the road, like, oh no, come back. And he said, you know what? Come here real quick. Took a photo with each of us, signed a quick thing for each of us, and let us go. I have a great photo of me and him arm wrestling. Of course, there's a photo I was taking, he beat me. Cheater. I totally could have beaten him.
Yes.
God,
of
look
course.
At me. Oh, muscles. Muscles.
Of course.
I'm flexing for no one.
Yeah.
But I've gotten pretty lucky with meeting my heroes. I'm not gonna... The fear is one day one will be bad. I hope. Never.
I met Viggo Mortensen at a Habs game. For those of you who don't know, Viggo Mortensen, first of all, he plays Aragorn.
That's it. I had a moment like, I know this name, but fuck,
who is he? He plays Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. He's also, for whatever reason, well, actually, I know why he's a big Montreal Canadiens fan, and Montreal Canadiens are pretty much the sports team in Montreal.
Is he a Montrealer?
He's not a Montrealer.
But he's a Habs fan.
He's a Habs fan, and he told me why he's a Habs fan.
Why is he? I want to know now. I'm so intrigued.
He grew up in South America, and obviously in South America...
I'm not seeing the connection yet, but go on.
In South America, soccer was the big sport. And so soccer fans in South America are very, very passionate. Once he moved to North America to continue his acting career, he noticed that Montrealers were very, very passionate about the Habs. And this was back in the 70s as well, when the Habs were actually like one of the best teams in the league.
I'm aware of this because I also enjoy sports.
And he became a big fan of a gentleman named Guy Lafleur.
Like, you leaned in sensually to my neck to say that.
Yeah, okay. Guy Lafleur, for those of you who don't know,
He means me, by the way, but yes, continue. I'm listening.
Guy Lafleur is a well-known Montreal Canadiens player. He was probably the Montreal Canadiens player of the 1970s.
I mean, much as I'm saying I have no idea about him. I know the name. I know he's a Montreal player. I have no idea what his history is.
Yeah, essentially he was a very, very good player. We don't need to get into that right now, but essentially Viggo fell in love with Guy Lafleur as a player, and he fell in love with the Montreal Canadiens as a team.
Interesting.
And it's funny, I actually saw him at another Habs game about maybe a few years later. I went to the game with our friend Peter.
Ah, good old Pete.
And Pete just kept looking up at this guy. I didn't recognize at the time. He's like, yo, that's Viggo Mortensen. He was sitting like a section away from us, like 2 rows behind us. And I'm like, no, that's not Viggo Mortensen, man. Like, I've seen Viggo Mortensen. I know that's not him. He's like, no, I'm sure it's Viggo Mortensen. And he eventually, in intermission, he went over and he's like, hey, are you Viggo Mortensen? He's like, yeah. And he shook his hand. And he was like, that's it. Like, no picture or anything. I got a picture of Viggo Mortensen when he was there. There's a difference in celebrity culture when, like, you want to be seen, which is when I saw him, and when you sort of just want to be low-key and you want to be, like, incognito, which is when Pete saw him. But he was still a very polite guy, and he was still, like...
And that's it. I've only ever met one celebrity outside of the normal situation of, like, a Comic-Con where you're expecting to meet fans. You're kind of putting on the mask, and, I mean, I assume they're all being honest, but You never know.
Yes.
And it was the time I inadvertently ran into Harry Connick Jr. We were doing. I was in grade. What is it? Sec 4, grade 10. That how this works. I don't know if grades work anymore. Grade 10, near the end of high school.
They generally progress linear.
Thank you. It was more that most countries have grade 12 or sec 6 or sec whatever the end of their.
Not us.
We only go to grade 11 and we have stage. Whatever, we're a weird system. That's another day.
Not Quebec.
But not my second last year of high school, on a class trip with so basically it was the grade 9, 10, 11s. Yeah, it was a bunch of us. I was in grade 10, we were 9 and 11s going off to New York for 2 days and doing a walking tour of the city, and one of the stops was, this is where people will come after a show, the exit door for the cast, and if the cast is, is in a good mood, they'll come out and meet some fans maybe, or someone will come out and try to, people usually wait for them to meet a few celebrities. And the door opens, the guy walks out and just takes a step outside, and I immediately go up to him jokingly and go to shake his hand and go, "Hi, you must be part of the show," a cocky, whatever teen I was. And the guy goes, "Actually, I am." And I go, "Oh, what's your name?" He goes, "Harry." And I look up at the sign, and it's whatever the show is, starring Harry Connick Jr., and I just go, "That Harry?" And he goes, "Yep, that Harry. I gotta go back inside now, though. I'm sorry." I'm like, just totally speechless. And I mean, like, from the times I've seen him, I mean, I'm a big fan of Will and Grace. I grew up with my mother watching that one, and he starred in that show for once. I definitely, looking back, it's clearly him. It wasn't like someone fucking with me. Mm-hmm. But, like, that is, like, I only dream if I were ever that famous, and I could do that to somebody. I'm just like, surprise, I'm a celebrity.
Hey, I'm famous. Hello, nice to meet you.
I thought you were saying really you were. I'm like, really? Who have you ever done this to?
I don't know if you know this, but my brother was in a spelling bee, and he was shown on Global News.
Really?
So I'm practically A-list at this point,
Well, my brother won a contest with Show'em, and they got a music video shot for him.
Well, your brother is a nerd. No, I'm sure he's a great guy.
Younger brother, middle brother, not as much. The younger brother's pretty fucking nerdy.
Okay.
Hi, Sam, if you're out there.
Hi, Sam.
Or Ben, the less nerdy one, if you're out there.
My siblings.
Who's actually texting me?
Yeah, I saw that on your computer probably right now.
Wow, weird. I was asking for some info on some music. He collects old 45 vinyls. He was telling me it's a secret. I can't mention the band. Anyways, I guess an hour is a good time for these shows.
An hour is a good time. To conclude. What do we think about podcasts? I think
it's a medium that needs to be not further explored. I think we've really reached the point of what a podcast can be, whether it be just two people talking like this, more of a news format. I mean, really, it's the simplest way I explain it to people when they don't understand it. Like, my mother asked me what a podcast was. My mom's on Twitter, by the way. She got more text out.
I saw that. I saw that your mom's on Twitter now. Twitter was like my safe haven away from parents until your mom got Twitter.
My mother's pretty good on the internet. I give her a point. She's pretty crazy when it comes to posting on Facebook with photos. I mean, we always joke, by the time we hit the car, by the time the dessert course is photos of the main course already on there.
Podcasts are not necessarily an evolving medium. It's that what podcasts bring to other people listening to them is just a way to connect with others, whether it's on a pointed subject or it's just people shooting the shit. It's just a way to listen to another voice and sort of be entertained. People's stories, I'd like to think that everyone has at least a couple entertaining stories, or even if it's not that entertaining, you can tell it in a way that's exciting.
That's it. I mean, there's definitely podcasts out there to look for. If you like storytelling, Risk is a great one. If you like just shooting the shit, we're a great podcast. If not, my brother and me is also good. And I mean,
we're great.
And I mean, as much as podcasts, really, it's an evolution and a modernized version of what used to be. I mean, look at the word podcast. It's broadcast. That you used to go and listen to every Friday night, that one show on that one radio station that recurred. This is our digital modern version of it.
That you can keep.
And that's it. You can keep that good episode. I have an episode of another show I love called Grown-Ups Read Things They Wrote as Kids, which is it started as a radio show here in Canada on, I think, CBC, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. You're looking at me like I know, and I don't know.
No,
I'm sorry.
I realize that. But you can look it up, Grown Up Read Things. But I went to one of the shows live, and I kept that episode kind of as memory of the time I went to went to a taping of a show. I haven't listened to it again yet, but I think Paul and I were about to head down to Toronto for a weekend. I have a few, we like hoarding good old podcasts for that kind of thing. I figured we put that one on. I know Rooster Teeth just did a spoiler cast for The Amazing Race up until the point they released that episode. They didn't go any further because they're under Do Not Disclose.
Yes.
But we're going to listen to that part of the ride too. But suffice to say, podcasts, an amazing thing to get into. Ours, above all, the best one to be subscribed to.
It's great. We don't even have a name yet, but we're...
By the time this goes up, there'll be a name. You will meet one of us in our day. We'll be like, oh, dude, we have a podcast. It's called something, and you will type in that in iTunes, and you will find it and be like, oh yeah, it's the thing they said, and listen to it.
It's true, because let's be honest, if you're listening to this at this point, you know one of us in real life, and you're doing this as like somewhat of a favor, and also because, hey, this guy Ryan or this guy Drew, they're kind of funny.
And that's it. The hope is, eventually you share with someone else, and then one of the networks like Headgun or...
You tell 2 people, and they tell 2 people, and you'll get 1 million people right there.
That's how marketing works.
Yeah. Word to mouth. Mouth to word? Word of mouth. Word of mouth. Word of mouth.
Could that be our sign off from now on? Word to your mouth.
We're going to put our words in your mouth.
I think that's what we call it, quits, dude.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Night, folks.
I love you.